Hi, friends. I've been thinking a lot about images. So, Instagram, I've been hanging out on there a little bit more lately, or commercials, even modern books sometimes, or movies where there's a certain depiction of reality. And I've been thinking a lot about why people like images or ideas of things so much. Like they like the idea of, um, yeah, just certain elements that they find on Instagram or books or in the commercials. And I'm gonna use three examples to kind of kickstart the discussion. So let's say we have a picture of a beautiful horse and its coat is glistening and there are mountains behind it and there's maybe a sunrise or a sunset, whatever it is, the sky is this gorgeous shade of pink. Okay. That's a fun picture. It looks like something that would be appealing to me at least. Maybe I want to go ride the horse or I want to see that place or whatever it is. So that's a very appealing picture for me if I were to come across that on, let's say, Instagram. Well, let's say there's another picture of a very attractive person looking right at you with a really intent expression. Okay, that's cool. Maybe you're like, yes, that sounds great. I'd love to meet this person. And then let's say the third picture is just a picture of somebody behind the camera holding up a perfect cone of ice cream, and there are like cherry blossoms behind the person, the cone that you can see, and it looks just like the perfect cone on the perfect spring day. Great pictures. Maybe that's a commercial for something. These are all amazing pictures, and I think that they're very appealing and they're very attractive. And I think, what if we were given the opportunity to make those pictures like physical, tangible reality for us? And I think a lot of us would say, heck yeah, that sounds great. But I kind of want to look at today of why somebody might not say yes right away to getting those things in real life, in tangible, physical reality. And so I want to say, yeah, today I'm not really talking about like a photo per se, but just sometimes how we have ideas about certain things or look at pictures of certain things, both in Instagram, actual pictures, or even in our minds that we have about certain things. How these things can kind of saturate the world, but let's look at if these things would become tangible reality, how would that look? So let's start with the horse. Let's say I get a horse and I'm so excited, but I realize that in order to keep that coat so nice and glossy, I have to be brushing it every single day. Or um, let's see, I have to shovel the manure. I've never actually owned a horse, so I don't really know everything that goes into it. But let's say it's heavy, it doesn't smell great. And let's say on top of all that, I find myself really scared of the horse because it's a lot taller than it felt in the picture. And I realize that I can walk it, but actually riding it fast is really hard for me because it's terrifying being that high up and moving that quickly. So let's say that the actual reality of owning the horse, getting up, feeding it, brushing its coat, cleaning up the manure, sitting on top of it and trying to ride is actually really tough to deal with. So there's that piece of reality. Let's look at the second picture. You get in a relationship with that beautiful person, and you realize maybe I realize he's got wounds that clash with mine. We kind of get in arguments sometimes. There's a lot of suffering that can come out of that relationship. Maybe I realize on a very shallow end, he doesn't always look like that. He's got off hair days and sometimes wears atrocious outfits. And maybe I realize that intent expression that was in the picture isn't the only expression he can make. He could also look really bored or annoyed, maybe even sometimes angry. And that reality is a lot more than the picture, and it can be harder to deal with. And then let's look at the last picture. What about that perfect ice cream cone? And let's just say the ice cream was delicious, but it was eaten way too quickly when you're in reality. You're in the reality of the situation. You eat it and it's done and you're full. And even as you're taking the picture, the cherry blossoms are starting to drift off the trees and they're so beautiful, but it was so painful too because you were seeing the beauty fade right before your eyes. And you look at your phone and yep, and there's rain on the forecast. So it's beautiful, but it's so transient. It's so quickly over that it was tough. It's tough to have that and then say goodbye to that. So I wanted to take a really fair look, I guess, at why people might want pictures in a really real way. I'm asking the question to myself, why do we spend so much time on TikTok or Instagram or I don't know, whatever else is out there, YouTube. Why do we read certain books that are just, you know, um, reading books or watching movies that make us feel a certain way, instead of going out and living that? And I love movies, but we're talking like what is so appealing about the pictures and specific pictures specifically. And I think that sometimes looking at the culture around us, it can be understandable why we like pictures, images, ideas so much, and why sometimes tangible reality is so hard. It gets to the point where we actually start telling ourselves our own fiction instead of embracing that tangible reality, instead of going out and, buying the horse, getting in that, taking that leap and getting in the relationship, going out and living those experiences. But here, I guess, here's what I believe. I believe that pictures aren't enough for our wild little souls. I think that ideas and wishes and dreams aren't enough without physical reality, without a tangible presence in our life. I don't think broken bits of reality are enough to quench the vast longing of a human heart, especially a human heart that admits to itself that it has that longing. So I want to look again at reality and kind of dive a little deeper into this. Let's say the horse. Okay, it takes work for me. But as I work, I get up in the mornings and I brush its coat. I learn to be a little bit, more of a cowgirl. I learn a little bit more toughness there. Not a true story yet, but it sounds cool. And maybe I learn to get a little bit less squeamish about things. And that doesn't just mean I'm a better horse owner, but it actually starts having an impact in other areas of my life where I'm able to do hard things and I just have a little bit more of a toughness than I used to. So maybe I'm better at setting up boundaries even when it's uncomfortable, or maybe I'm better at telling someone when something bothers me, even if it might create a little bit of tension, just to take care of myself. Maybe there's something that grows there in reality, and it's able to grow in reality because it's dealing with me in a physical way. It's dealing with me in a real way. Um, and and let's say there is that moment where I've had the horse for a while, I've learned how to take care of it, and I am riding it. It's the sunrise, and the sun cracks over the mountains, and I finally get that courage, and I start riding, I start galloping that horse that I've gotten to know so well across the plains, and I realize that there is complete joy and freedom. I find who I am on the other side of fear, and I find who I am on that strength that built throughout the time leading up to that moment. How beautiful that is, and how a picture can never give you that, because a picture can never build with you in it the same way as reality can, obviously. So I don't know, that think that moment, that yeah, that beautiful rush, that beautiful joy that you have, that new sense of self is something incredible in reality and worth having the struggle for. It's worth so much more than the picture. And you know where I'm going with the next picture probably as well. So let's say we have this person, I have this person, and there's a lot of wounds, but the wounds slowly heal as we commit to love, as we commit to love each other through the tough times, through the good times and the bad. And yeah, maybe we even get more wounds along the way. Maybe there's, painful things, suffering is inevitable. But what happens if we make our love stronger than our suffering, and we find that the joy becomes stronger than the suffering as well? So the strength that comes from love, the joy that comes from intimacy, these things are really powerful and so much deeper than photographs ever could be, or any of the ideas and the images that sometimes we're given. Um, and what about the ice cream? Let's say that experience becomes a really precious memory. And let's say if we let ourselves just sit back and soak in the moment, we realize, or I realize in that moment, maybe that there's this hunger for beauty that I didn't know I could even feel. If I don't let myself just ignore it, I realize there's this hunger for infinite beauty, and there's this wild cry of the heart that's like more beauty. I miss the cherry blossoms. I miss the beautiful ice cream and the flavors. But if we let ourselves just experience that, we experience a part of ourselves that is really real, deep, a need or a hunger that we have that's in the core, right? And we let ourselves feel that. We let ourselves express that maybe. I I think that that's beautiful and that's worth living in the moment as well. So I think, I guess, I just want to say fragments are simply not enough for a wild soul that wants to live fully. And I think I like to just ask, what would happen if we, I feel like there's so many things in our world right now, basically, like romance novels, social media platforms, nonstop commercials, even cheaply written self-help books. They like to sell us ideas and they don't deliver on the tangible reality side of things. And I've been getting increasingly frustrated with that side of things of, we can't be satisfied. And if you're watching this, you're probably not. We can't be satisfied. But the question is, what if we did not let ourselves be tamed? What if we refused to be tamed? What if we decided we were going to save up for that horse or whatever dream it is that is on your heart that makes it burn with desire? What if we, bent our will and our resources to make those things happen? What if we conquered our fears and found ourselves on the other side and we found that freedom and we found that joy? What if we let ourselves fall wildly, passionately in love with another person? What if we found the strength within ourselves to say, I forgive you and I love you over and over and over again until the love was stronger than the pain? What if we just let our hearts delight and admire things and bask in the beauty as transient as it is? And what if we let ourselves admit that we are hungry for infinite beauty? So I guess when I look around and I see these glossy images everywhere around us, I get it. I get that they can be very appealing and I think there's goodness there. And I get that reality can be a lot. I think life does give you some pretty heady blows sometimes, and I think that it's real. But I guess when I look around and I see this, I see the terrifying and terrifyingly beautiful reality, and I realize that is exactly where I want to live. That's where I want to have the adventures in. So I pray that God gives us all hearts of courage, hearts full of courage, love, and gladness. And I might not be perfect in this adventure. Neither are the people, we're close with often. Some days it rains, some days life gives out those heavy blows, and I get that. But life is also so, so beautiful. And I don't know, I've just been thinking a lot about how much better reality is than Instagram, how much better reality is than any of the ideas or the pictures that we like to throw around that look really pretty but don't have the tangible substance. Yeah, it's so beautiful and it's so rich. So thank you, dear friends, for watching this. I'm grateful that we're on the adventure together. We're figuring out life. Anyways, stay beautiful, stay wild, and live life fully.